Hey YouTube, Roker here, back with my Floowandereeze deck profile. This is a pretty cool deck in that it's fairly simple. So like it's got very simple linear combos, but also is powerful enough to be competitively viable. So that is not something you see too often, where a beginner could pick up a deck and play it decently, but also is a deck that can be piloted fairly competitively, which is really nice to have a deck that can do something like that. So let's look into that. First, we've got 3 Rabina, your best starter, just on normal search another bird, which is great. Then we've got 3 Eaglin. This on normal can just search your big birds, which again, super important combo piece. Definitely always a 3 of. Then we've got 2 Toucan. This is the one that grabs your banished flues. This one combos very well with your field spell or with your advent. So you can just get the ball rolling, and this can just grab your banished flues and get going. Then we've got 2 Stree. I was playing just one, but I wanted one more name in here, just to have an extra bird. It is useful. It banishes cards from graveyard, which if you used your advent or your pots, you then have a target for yourself, or if you are going second, or if you're normaling on your opponent's turn with your stuff, you can just banish out their graveyard with Stree, which is obviously much better, getting their resources gone. But yeah, that is all of the small birds. Now for the big birds, I am playing 2 Empen and an Avian. I'm not playing Mega Reza. I know most people go with that one. I decided on Avian because it just was testing better with me. Because if you can set it up on your first turn and then negate a card, and then on your opponent's turn tribute summon it again, so it turns into pretty much 2 Omnis. It just, that much advantage is just so good. Yeah, so that's the big birds. The 2 Empen did come up, so I definitely would suggest playing more than one. Because if you lose one, you can get it back with your, like, banish it and then get your Toucan. It's a lot easier to just have a second one in your deck. If you don't want it, you can use your Unexplored Winds to shuffle it back in. So yeah, it usually doesn't hurt to have that. 3 big birds, I usually don't brick on. If I was to play any more, it might get a little more questionable. But on to the spells, we have 3 Map. This is super good card, combos with any of your birds. Just gets you into your Rabina super easily, and gives you interruption on your opponent's turn by they normal summon, you normal summon. Just super nice to have. 3 Advent. This card is crazy. This plus any bird gets you into your combo, but this also helps insulate your combos from like Imperm, Veiler, Mourner. Just so good to have a way to dodge out of interruption that also can just be a starter to search your stuff. It's just super nice. And then I'm playing 2 Unexplored Winds. I really like this card. Not a lot of people play more than one copy, but I think it's really underappreciated, the power of just tributing over an opponent's card, because that it's not like an effect that they can stop. They just have to either have an out to it or they just have to deal with it. plus the shuffling the winged beasts back and drawing definitely is super useful, so that at the end of your big combo, if you added all your banished birds back to hand, then you can just shuffle some back, draw into some non-engine. Just super, super nice. And it can even tribute over back row, which is one of the more practical purposes for it. Yeah, so I really like it. That is all of the flu spells. Then we have 3 prosperity and 3 duality. I've not seen everyone play duality. I've seen some. I really like duality just because then you've got 6 cards that you can just dig deep into your deck and just really get to either your starters if you don't have one, or you can get to your non-engine if you do have your starters. So it's just, and the fact that you can just pick and choose which, like, prosperity is a especially busted card. Just 6 cards, pick whatever you want. Just the option of getting engine or non-engine is just super nice. And the drawbacks of these cards do not really affect the deck. Not drawing cards, the only thing that affects is wins and duality to not special summon. All the birds already lock you out of special summoning, so really not that much of a drawback. Super good cards. Then for traps, all we've got is the 1 Dreaming Town and the 3 Featherstorm. I do like playing more than 1 Dreaming Town. I did not in this particular list because I wanted to play slightly more non-engine. But I do like having another copy of Dreaming Town just for some grind. Featherstorm, always a 3 of. It just ends turns. The fact that it's just skill drain for a turn, better than skill drain for a turn even. It's just monster effects anywhere. It's just wild. And even if you just draw this and you like normal Urbina, get impermed, and you don't have any follow-up after that, you can just set the Featherstorm, and they pretty much just have to pass back most of the time. So you just get to stall them a whole turn, which is just ridiculous that a card can do that. Definitely always a 3 of, crazy in the deck. And then for the non-engine, we've got 3 Shifter, obvious Flu non-engine because everything is banished anyway. So Shifter is just crazy against all of the graveyard decks, which in this format is a lot of them, especially Snake Eye really against the graveyard, even more so now that the Fiendsmith stuff is coming out. So this is just even more powerful of a card. And with that, I'm also playing 3 DD Crow. DD Crow is kind of doing double duty as a graveyard interruption, which is good this format, but also it's a winged beast, so if you happen to not need it, you can send it off of your Advent to search a Flu, you can shuffle it off of your Unexplored Winds to draw different cards. So if you don't need it, you can just get rid of it in various ways. If you do need it, you've got the Graveyard Interruption. So it's definitely very, what's the word? Very useful in various circumstances. So that's why I decided to go with Crow for this deck. And then 3 Imperm, because this is probably the best monster negation hand trap at the moment. Unfortunately, you can't really play Veiler because Shifter doesn't let you Veiler. so I didn't want to have that contradiction in here. So I went with Imperm as my monster negation of choice. If I do need more monster negation, I do have Mourner in the side deck. I can side out like the Crows, or going second, you can side out the Featherstorms. So yeah, this was my non-engine of choice. Worked out pretty well for me. I suppose we can look at our 15 prosperity targets. That's pretty much all they are. There are things you could theoretically make, like they're there, and if you get stopped a bunch, you could maybe use these. For the most part, this is just 15 prosperity targets. The only thing that could remotely come up is if like they stop you on having a Rabina Eaglin, and then you have like your Featherstorm to stall them a turn, and then they come back, pass back to you, and then you just like those two into Nightingale, swing into Downard into Zeus. That pretty much doesn't come up. It's here, but yeah, for the most part, it's 15 prosperity targets. I just figured I'd put something that maybe could come up. So yeah, this can be pretty much anything. So yeah, this I can. Next we'll go into the side deck. We've got 3 Ash. For the decks it really hits. I don't see it being that crazy of a card against every deck. It just kind of stops a spot, which against some decks is crazy, obviously sided against like Branded and stuff, but it's not as high impact as the other like Shifter and Storm. Then we've got 3 Ogre, because sometimes this deck doesn't put up that many bodies, so if you can stop your opponent from having too many bodies on board, it kind of ends up hard for you to out that many monsters at a time. You can stop them from being effective with like your M-Pen being negation and just kind of slowly picking away at it, but it's nice to sometimes not have them get too much of a board, so that's why the Ghost Ogres are there. 3 Mourner for if I need more monster negation specifically out of the hand traps. Probably the next best one, and we can't play Valor again because of the Shifter. Unfortunately, we also can't play Droll because of that, and because of the flu cards, we can't really play Nib. So we get kind of locked out of those powerful cards, but that's at the advantage of getting Shifter and Featherstorm, which is a very worth it trade-off. Then for back row decks, we've got 3 Cosmics, and for going second, we have 3 Evenly. Also good against the back row decks, but yeah, this is kind of my standard of back row decks, get Cyclone, and then for going second, Evenly. Most of the time, it was just swapping Featherstorm out for Evenly for going second, because you're not going to use Featherstorm going second, and then you just get to Evenly and then do your stuff. So yeah, that is the deck. Yeah, it's, again, fairly simple deck. I'll be putting out a combo tutorial for the couple little 1 card, 2 card combos. A very nice deck to start a beginner off with, so that they can learn it pretty easily, but it's not something that they feel like they have a severely underpowered deck, because this deck is very solid for sure. It's just nice that if you're trying to get like a friend into the game, this is one that would work for that. So with that, I think that's all I've got to say about the deck. Yeah, this is Rogue Tier, signing out.